Welcome to the Loran webinar. We're going to wait a minute for as many people to join us as possible. Okay, let's get started. Good afternoon to friends in the West and good evening to friends in the East. My name is Loretta and I am a scholar advisor at Loran. Thanks for being here today. I use she, her pronouns, and I am joining you all the way from Takarondo. As we begin, I acknowledge and reflect on my privilege as I live and work and learn on the traditional territory of several nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Métis people, and Inuit. As we have attendees from all across Turtle Island today, I invite you all to acknowledge the past and present traditional custodians of the lands we are on. My colleague, Michelle, is kindly monitoring the Q&A box to respond to any questions you may have. Thanks, Michelle. And also in the background is Danielle, making sure this presentation goes smoothly. No pressure. My co-hosts today are Emily and Mesna. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today to share your experiences as a Loran Scholar. We'll hear more about Emily and Mesna's experiences in a little while, but for the moment, Emily and Mesna, will you please briefly introduce yourselves to everyone? Please share your pronouns, your hometown, where and what you studied.
Hi, I'm Emily. I go by she, her pronouns. I grew up in Battleford, Saskatchewan, and I attended the University of New Brunswick, and I took leadership studies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mesna. My pronouns are he, him. I went to the University of British Columbia and I studied business, and I grew up in Winnipeg. I don't know why I paused there, but yeah. What's up?
Thank you. So today's session is a webinar, and so your microphones are disabled. You can submit questions at any time in the question box, the box that Michelle is monitoring. There will also be a question period at the end of the webinar where Michelle will highlight some of the frequently asked questions that appear in the box and any that are directed to our guests or staff. After this webinar, more information will be emailed to you, including a recording of one of our sessions. The Loran Award is much more than simply a financial scholarship for post-secondary studies. It is an opportunity to build critical skills and capacity for leadership, to expand horizons by taking on new challenges and exploring diverse experiences, and to join a community of purpose-driven peers who are committed to leaving the world better than they found it. It's a lot of words to say this is a long-term investment focused on helping someone see their potential to make a difference, supported by and connected to a network of other leaders with integrity. In order to be eligible, applicants must be graduating from high school or Cégep in 2026. Students who graduated in 2025 and are currently taking a gap year are also eligible to apply. The applicants must present a minimum cumulative average of 85% or an R score of 29 in Quebec. This 85% is an eligibility criteria, not a selection criteria. So generally, the student needs to be academically strong, but not necessarily straight A's across the board. Once an applicant meets this mark, it doesn't matter if they have an 86% or a 98%. Loran's criteria is evidence of character, commitment to community service, and leadership potential. Eligible applicants must also hold Canadian citizenship or permanent resident status. So if you are currently in the process of applying for status, your permanent residence must be granted by the Loran application deadline of October 16th. So our partner universities offer tuition waivers for domestic student fees, which is why we have a Canadian citizenship or permanent resident status requirement. And finally, eligible applicants must be born between January 1st, 2004 and September 1st, 2010. Loran believes that Canada needs unconventional leaders in every sector. So it looks for well-rounded young people who demonstrate strength of character, commitment to service in the community, and leadership potential. Over the past 35 years, the foundation has invested more than $70 million in more than 3,400 students. But that amount isn't just given by someone with a last name Loran, but rather hundreds and hundreds of donors from across the country who also believe in the work that we do and want to give high potential youth the opportunity to imagine, explore, and create the future. Today, there are 796 alumni and in-stream scholars giving back to their communities and pushing boundaries in such diverse fields as technology, the arts, finance, medicine, law, government, science, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Now, let's go to our panel, starting with Emily. Tell us what you were like in high school. What drew you to the Loran Award? And what is a favorite Loran memory?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I will admit that I was maybe what you would classify as like the typical student who you may think is fit for this award. I was super involved in everything. I was very bubbly and outgoing and interested in seeing the world, but I don't think that's what got me the award. When I look at my classmates, I see that we all have something in common and we all have passion for the work we do. Some of us are wildly outgoing and others are more quiet and reserved. And I think what Loren looks for is the intentionality behind your actions. It's not about the quantity of things you do or having the right club, it's about the quality of work you put into. In high school, I would say my actions were very intentional. I was always looking for ways to involve other people and to get people interested in the things that I was interested in doing. Whether it was a pep rally or working on sets for drama, I just knew I was passionate and I had cared for what I was involved in. What first inspired me to apply for Loran was just a simple poster on the outside wall of my academic advisor. I'd never heard of anyone going through the process or really knew much about it, but I thought it was a really good way to start writing applications. When I was in the interview process, I remember that one of the staff members referred to Loren interview and the application process a little bit like speed dating. And I thought that that was a really good analogy. So it's making sure that not only Loren finds the right fit for their program, but that you make sure that you're the right fit as well, or that you find that Loren's the right fit for you. So yeah, that was a very big takeaway for me, and I did a lot of reflecting on that of like their values and the different programming offerings that they had, because there's so much more than just the funding. I am very grateful for it, but they gave you so many extra opportunities, which I'm sure we'll describe throughout. But one of the biggest things that I found was so helpful and gave me such a great stepping stone as I was getting into different career paths and for interviews or for internships was helping resume prep and some interview prep, and it was just such a huge, huge help. Um, yeah, Loren gatherings are just probably one of my biggest highlights of the whole opportunity. I find that they happen just when I need them the most. They pick me up a little bit, rejuvenate me, and remind me of like what my passions are in life. So I think Loretta, I've answered a few of those questions there.
You have, and we have so many more for you. Let's go to Mesna.
Thank you. Great answers, Emily. So to start, what I was like in high school it's been a while, but I would say I think the core things that I think is that made me me was that I just didn't really overthink much in terms of just what I was wanting to try. I didn't sort of think of myself or try to pigeonhole myself into, this is what I'm going to be and I'm going to do this. It's just kind of anytime a new opportunity presented itself and it was something I thought was interesting, even if I felt like I didn't really know how to go about it or how to get started, I just like chasing that feeling of feeling like a little uncomfortable, just doing something new. And I think that just kind of snowballed into more opportunities, um, more chances to then, grow as a leader, develop, and then, get to see the impact that you have and how, you know, you kind of just understand that, oh, like I like talking, I like taking on these, um, like I like sort of just bringing, I think a lot of the things that I really enjoyed doing sort of just from taking a lot of opportunities as they came was I was like, oh, like I don't mind putting a little presentation together. I don't mind taking all the things that I've learned. I don't mind, just so I guess a lot of those things then just turned into starting, like one of the places I was working. There was a basketball coach that had left another opportunity. They did something. And so I was like 15, 16 at the time, had only really been playing basketball for a little bit. And like, can you coach? And I was like, I'd never coached anything before. And I was like, let's just do it. And that's just like one of the many examples of just kind of just having things come up and you just do it. And so I think that was what I was like in high school, just not really thinking too much about how much experience I had in something and just kind of going for it. Um, what drew me to the Loran Award. I think just kind of getting to that point where you're like, okay, I got to start thinking about universities, scholarships, and it had just come up in sort of some of the searches, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a lot of the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing, or I feel like I have a fit in, and so I just went for it. And favorite Loran memory, there's many. But I'd have to say the first retreat, the canoe trip, we were all set up into our own different brigades. And I think we were in smaller groups of 8, although there's a total of 35 of us. And it was just jokes the entire week. It was just everyone just kind of riffing off each other. It was just such a great vibe. And I think just a great way to sort of bring everyone's guards down because I think that was our first time meeting each other since the interviews where everyone was kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? Of course, you're stressed, and so that was our first time sort of getting to know each other, getting to meet the people behind the scholar, I guess you could say, um, and it's just you just feel like it's a lot of really cool people, um, and it just kind of just started as this thing where you're like, damn, I'm gonna be close with these people for a long time, and I think I'll always look back at that week very, very fondly.
Thank you. The selection of a Loran Scholar is unique in both its attention to a young person's character and the comprehensiveness of Loran's selection process. Loran believes in looking beyond a student's transcript to find evidence of integrity, grit, compassion, determination, and resilience, recognizing that these are better indicators of a young person's overall potential. Each Loran Scholar has been assessed both on paper and in person by up to 13 people. And the right fit for the award goes both ways. This goes back to Emily's comment about speed dating. It's very much a program, something you actively participate in and contribute to for years rather than a one-time award to recognize achievements. So these expectations of the award should excite you, though being nervous about them is also okay. We truly care to get to know you, your interests, and why you do what you do and what you care about. So let's start with Mesna. Our next question. What would you say are some commonalities and common characteristics of your fellow Loran scholars?
Hmm. I would say I think initiative is probably the first one that comes to mind. I think a lot of and you kind of just see this in life and when you're just in your communities, you'll notice problems, things that could be better. Um, but there's a very special type of person that kind of goes, okay, and what? What can we actually do about this? Yes, we can acknowledge that there's a problem here, or this could be improved, but what can we actually do? And I think that is what I think brings a lot of. I think that's what brings Loren or the scholar community together is that they're the kind of people who are like, okay, like who can we bring together who also feels that same pain or struggle and who can we start what emails can we send what meetings can we set up to actually start making a plan and start putting things together with whatever they can and some people they have really good skills in fundraising or whatever way you choose to sort of go about it. I think it just comes down to actually just doing something about whatever you're sort of experiencing and then truly just make an impact, make a difference. Because it's one thing to feel like there's something that needs to change, but it's another thing to actually go out and
Yeah.
start to do it.
No, I think that's exactly what I said. Like, we are all in such different fields. Some are neuroscience, some are lawyers, some are policymakers. I plan music festivals, but the biggest thing behind us all is that we have such passion and drive for what we do. So I think Mesna said it very well.
Thank you. Now, as mentioned earlier, the award is more than just money to pay for things. There is a financial excuse me. There is a financial component, mostly so we can provide scholars with the resources required to keep them available for meaningfully contributing to their communities and fully participating in the Loran program. Before we dive into the elements of the program that make it the only one of its kind in Canada, here are highlights of what the Loran Award entails. This award includes an annual stipend. Scholars receive an annual stipend of $12,000. Additionally, first-year scholars can access a top-up to the annual stipend if their first-year university residence costs for a basic room and meal plan exceed $12,000. There is also a tuition waiver from the university of up to $12,000 annually. Something to take note of for individuals choosing academic programs where the tuition fees exceed $12,000, for example, Waterloo Co-op, Engineering Co-op, or Queen's Commerce. Many scholars have applied for additional awards and student aid to cover the rest of their tuition. The award also includes a multi-year one-on-one mentorship with a local leader and a summer experiential learning program in 3 different sectors. In addition, the Loran Award includes membership in a diverse community of scholars and alumni with opportunities to engage and grow together through an orientation experience, annual retreats, local events, access to a national network, and a lifelong community. This award is renewable for up to 4 years or 8 academic terms. The Loran Award is tenable at any of our 25 partner universities. And one of the most common questions we get is, do we have to move away from home? Loran scholars are strongly encouraged to go to university in a new part of the country. This provides a chance for scholars to exercise independence, spread their wings, discover new communities, serve new groups of people, and gain respect for different regions of Canada. But ultimately, this is the scholar's decision. Scholars are welcome to study in French or in English. And did you know that there are French options outside of Quebec? On this list, the Francophone campuses include the University of Alberta's Campus Saint-Jean in Edmonton and Glendon College at York University in Toronto. The University of Ottawa also provides a bilingual learning environment, both on campus and in the city. You will still need to apply and be accepted, but you needn't have applied to university before you submit your Loran application. Now, each scholar is matched with a leader in their university city for a multi-year mentoring relationship. Loran mentors are people who embody the values of Loran and encourage our scholars to do the same. They are business people, community leaders, and experts in their field, and they commit to sharing their experiences and networks with scholars throughout the course of their undergraduate studies. Potential Loran mentors are identified and recruited by Loran. We go through a matching process for each student, which includes a questionnaire and conversations between scholar, mentor, and staff to confirm a suitable match together. And we recognize that mentorship can come in many forms and encourage scholars to engage in conversations with others who can provide insight or advice on topics around their academic and career interests. We also facilitate connections beyond mentorship, including an alumni summer coaching match, 4th-year transition conversations, and conversations with upper years in a program or university of interest. Now, back to our alum, Emily. Can you share more about your experience with your Loran mentor and the impact that mentorship had on you during the program?
Yeah, I love my mentor. She's definitely one of my favorite people. We have a little bit of a unique relationship. So when we started out, she was working for the Community Foundation, and I had said to Loran, I said a big important part for me was that someone who was super involved in the community, as I wanted to learn the ins and outs. I had moved across the country, so I was like, this is super important for me to get solidified in my new community. It was also really nice. She had two girls about my age, so she really understood the process that I was going through. However, it's really funny now. So we started out with like I would say like a family-based relationship, and now she's the mayor of Fredericton. So they hit the nail on the head. They definitely got someone who's involved in the community. So yeah, she was absolutely incredible throughout my whole time. I would meet up with her about once a month and talk about different things. Sometimes I had an assignment that was talking about some Fredericton politics, let's say, and she was super great to let me interview her or run things past her. She was really, really a key person when it came to decisions about where my internships were going to be. I loved having that to bump things off of her, to see my growth, and it was nice for someone to see me from like beginning to end. And so even now, I actually have a really great relationship with her. I try to see her about once a year. I'm going over to Fredericton tomorrow to see her, and she's been really good to continue to push me and to remember things I said back in my first year and keep challenging me. So, very grateful for her.
And for me, um, correct me if I'm wrong, Laura. I think back then, at least, maybe it's still the case now, but you could sort of you had like the three options where you could choose familial, and then something in between, and then more professional. I had chosen familial, and I think I got just that. It was really nice. I think the mentorship I got was actually exactly what I needed at the time, especially just making that transition, brand new city across the country. Um, and I think yeah, we had really really deep conversation just on shifting your mindset towards life and a lot of things just more directly about family and just more things that are more personal that I think I needed some more of that guidance and that he really came in and supported me with and um I think it was yeah, it was definitely a lot of things that I still think about today and I kind of always sort of revert back to whenever I'm in or feeling those sort of same type of emotions or feelings again. And I think it's just really cool to just sort of have that balance of like, you could also have a very professional, like, oh, help you with finding internships and things like that, or just also just sort of this like spiritual, like just correcting these things that maybe were driving you to do what you were doing before, or kind of what it was pushing you to do what you were doing at the time, but then sort of realizing, taking a step back that like maybe that's not very sustainable sort of fuel, and that you should maybe kind of redirected. So I had a lot of those conversations that I think were really eye-opening and I think have really helped me grow in many ways beyond just like professionally and credit a lot of that to him. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, for Loran Scholars, summer academic breaks represent opportunities for some of the most synergistic and transformational learning experiences of their university careers. Assisted by an extensive network and up to $14,000 in funding, students enrich their studies by building practical skills and experience in the professional world to which they will one day contribute. Whether spent in Canada or abroad, Loran Summers are designed to provide scholars with greater breadth and understanding of the interactions and intersections between the private, public, and not-for-profit sectors, and the role each plays within the local, national, and global community. During public policy summers, scholars witness and participate in the process of government policy development. For enterprise summers, they contribute to the mission and goals of a for-profit environment. For not-for-profit summers, scholars gain programming and service experience as they engage in meeting the needs of a particular population or community. Scholars also have the option and access to resources to complete one Loran summer while pursuing academic research or a structured learning experience like language study and immersion. So Mesna, can you share a bit about your summers and the value you found in them?
Yeah, no, I think so my first summer was my enterprise summer. I was a research analyst intern at the Social Innovation Academy, and I think that was a really fun experience, sort of getting to interview a lot of executives. So the greater purpose of that was for a project kind of collecting data on how Canada is doing in terms of DI and within a variety of sectors and investment and charity foundations. Um, And that was actually a big part of what has gotten me into my role now is a lot of elements that have sort of carried forward. Um, my public policy summer, that one was a little fun because uh, Loran was actually they sort of gave you the opportunity to kind of create your own summer, and that's what I did. I was working with the Commonwealth Youth Society, and I kind of turned it into this like also like side like research project, and I presented my findings with a few other delegates in Rwanda. We kind of just did like an idea exchange, and it was just a really cool opportunity there. And of course, we are the generation that was we lost the summer because of I lost the summer because of the COVID, the pandemic. But Loran came in with the Discovery Grant program, and I did 6 weeks in Geneva to learn French. So that was another cool thing that they kind of set up for us. And I think there's actually more opportunities like that where you can kind of be flexible with your summers and kind of create it to what you're sort of wanting to do. So yeah, those are my summers, real cool, and a lot of things that I've been able to carry into my role today.
Yeah, Mesa, I always say I'm a COVID baby. So like our
Yeah, right.
COVID hit
Yeah.
halfway through our first year of university. And so it really shifted things. I had this great like 5-year plan coming out of high school and yeah, didn't exactly happen, but again, I'm so grateful for my summer opportunities as well. So I completed 2 internships through Loren. I did my first one, which was a community development one through Circles for Reconciliation, and it was an Indigenous organization. And I worked really closely with the project coordinator. And it was a really, really good internship for me to like learn how to work in a professional sense and start putting what I was learning into action. So I really enjoyed that. It was actually a Loran setup summer as well. So they have kind of a job board. I think they still do. Yes, they do. They have a little bit of a job board that you can like shop around and apply for some jobs through there. And this one was funded through Loran as well. So that was a really great opportunity for me. And then my second summer was Enterprise Summer and was working with Whitecap Entertainment as the operations coordinator for Cavendish Beach Music Festival. And here it was, again, my first time working in a real workplace, like physically in the office and having people, because that was right after COVID. And so I learned a lot about different leadership skills there, both good and bad. But I found how to work with different contractors and really get my hands into it. It was actually so good of an internship that I'm still working here. It's been 4 festival seasons now, so 7 festivals in total, which is so incredible. So I'm very, very grateful for Loren. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to look at an opportunity like that because it was so nice to know that I could take an internship, but know I still have funding coming back going to school the next summer. So it was a very easy risk for me to take to jump into like another new province, to move over there. So I'm very grateful for all of it, really.
A question we get from Waterloo bound students is, would this work for me if I have a co-op schedule? Yes, it will. Your summer just might not take place in the summer. It would be in the fall, but you would, Waterloo scholars and other scholars in co-op programs have successfully completed their summers in different seasons. So thank you for sharing. The Loran community is a very rich one, comprising scholars, alumni, staff, volunteers, and donors. We aim to support each other and hold a high bar for each other. We have many gatherings and events, both virtual and in person, during a scholar's time in the program and beyond. In fact, Loran Community Day is happening this weekend, where scholars and alumni across Canada will gather in their cities to reconnect and welcome new scholars to their new university communities. Community is at the heart of Loran's work. So from day one, Loran scholars join a supportive community that shares a commitment to service and leadership, and they inspire each other to reach their potential and boldly tackle challenges. They work together. So, Emily, can you share more on the value of the Loran community as you see it and have experienced it?
Yeah, it's actually when you said from day one, it's so very true. So when I was going to finals, there was a girl that lived in the same city that I was flying out of. So I was like, of course, like my dad will pick you up from your dorms and we'll drive you there. She was a first year scholar at the time. And we get on the plane, we exchange numbers, all of the things. And so afterwards, when I heard that I had been selected, I shot her a message and she texted me back. She's like, I knew it. I knew you'd be a perfect fit for the family. And family is just a great word to describe it as well. I've been through a lot of different leadership programs and camps, but this is just something different. I find that you always want to stay connected, and even if times have drifted apart, there's no shortage of wanting to stay connected. Actually, as soon as I saw Mesna was on this panel with me, I shot him a message. We probably haven't talked in a couple of years, and I was like, I'm so excited to do this with you. Um, I bumped into scholars at coffee shops before, and I am not a quiet person, and very loudly will talk to them for as long as they will let me, and it's just such a great opportunity. Um, like like I said, I know that these are going to be lifelong friends, and I always try to reach out when I'm in the city with them. It's a hard one to explain to people from the outside, but it's just a very close-knit community and something I'm very grateful to be a part of.
Honestly, very well said. I don't know that I have much more to add on top of that, other than just to just really cement that point. Especially when when you're at a university and you're working and you're doing what you're doing, it can be a little challenging at times. You're like, where do I get started with meeting new people and making connections? You have, what is it, like 150? How many alumni are sort of exist in the world? There's just so many all over, and I think just it's a nice little weight off your shoulders knowing that kind of wherever you go, at least in the country, and I think also internationally as well. There's a lot of hot spots of alumni. There's always somebody to reach out to for a variety of different things, whether it be sort of just wanting somebody to just talk to, crack some jokes with, just reflect on life, or some more serious where you just want some advice from somebody who's kind of been in the game a lot longer than you, and just has some things that they want to share. It's just all different walks of life, different ages, just there's just so much there's just a big wealth of knowledge just kind of that exists within this community of just so many different people in so many different areas that um it's just yeah it's an amazing thing to be a part of because there's just always so much to learn and gain from being a part of it and also give back, and also these kinds of things are always so fun to be a part of. And I know we can't see any of you right now, but it's always just nice to be in this environment. It's always re-energizing. You just feel like, damn, like I just want to get back out there and do more things. And I always find myself feeling much more excited after, talking to people like Emily or other scholars where you just like, or alumni, I should say. I think that's one of those things that I just always appreciate that you're like, you always feel good, after these interactions. So that's it.
Mesna, to answer your question, 796 alumni and scholars in Canada and around the world. So, in addition of up to 36 Loran Awards, Loran will be granting up to 60 one-time provincial and territorial awards to candidates chosen by interview committees at the semifinal level, valued at $3,000. We will also be awarding up to 60 one-time finalist awards to finalists not selected as Loran Scholars. These awards are tenable at any publicly funded Canadian university. Now, let these awards also be some motivation to apply, but we'll also share, and we've heard year after year, just how valuable the application process alone is to students. It's a wonderful exercise to do before life after high school begins. Another frequently asked question: what do I need to write in my application or say in my interviews to become a Loran Scholar? I can guarantee that you're not going to find that answer on Reddit. Loran's application interview process is so comprehensive and individualized that there is no one way to become a Loran Scholar. We're not cookie cutter in our process. Our best advice would be for you to just be yourself. We encourage you to say what you really feel, not what you think we want to hear. And really, don't be afraid to use your own voice and be true to you. Time for more insights from our panel. Mesna, what advice would you give to a student interested in applying? And did you or others have any doubts about whether or not you should apply?
What advice I'd give? Well, actually, I'll answer that second one. And I think just for generally with any sort of opportunity like this, don't reject yourself. Just do it as long as you meet the eligibility requirements where they're not just if you can actually apply, you meet all those things, just go for it. There's honestly no harm in trying, and you never know what'll come of it. So just go for it. Um, and I'd say advice in terms of action, like what you put in your application. I think, of course, it's always good to sort of quantify those things and add metrics to sort of help tell that story. But I think the why is really important. Um, Add some life to it. Why did you do the things that you did? Why do you care? What is the story? I think with most things, I think people are interested in the people more than the actual statistics, what you actually did. I mean, of course, that's important too, but let people know you. Let people know what's sort of what were your motivators? What made you you? So really, really go into that on top of sort of just saying what you've done is what I'd say.
Yeah, I think everyone has their doubts when I did the application. It's a little bit daunting. There's a lot going on. So, advice, start early. I'm not a great crammer, but I do think even if you're not sure, it really tees you up. And I saved all my answers and actually was able to like reuse some of the stuff for other applications. I feel like no other application is as extensive as that. So, but it's a great foundation and really good to get you practice and writing in the flow of it all. So that's a little bit of advice from me. But yes, I had doubts, so many doubts. I feel like my people around me had no doubts and they were like, of course this is going to happen for you. But I was very confident in that it was not going to happen for me at all. So just try. It's you never know what could happen.
I'm so glad you listened to others. Now, as you know, applications are now open. So please visit the website on the slide to begin your application. After this webinar, just go to the site and give it a shot. Bet on yourself. Thursday, October 16th, 2025, noon Eastern Time. That is a deadline for all applications. So your application, including the reference, must be completed and submitted before 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, October 16th. So that's 9 a.m. in British Columbia and 1:30 p.m. for our friends in Newfoundland and some parts of Labrador. Late applications or references will not be accepted. So do not wait until 11:59 a.m. to press submit, and let your references know that too. Ideally, they'll have completed your portion days before the deadline. Your application does not need to be complete before your referee can start their reference form. Because once you enter their information in the application portal, they'll be sent an email within 2 hours. And so it is your responsibility to ensure that they receive their form and submit on time. And for our friends in Alberta, we understand that there are talks of a teacher strike in Alberta in October. So if you're thinking of asking a teacher to be a referee, please coordinate with them well in advance. So what happens after applications close? Well, approximately 500 shortlisted candidates will be asked to submit a supplementary video so we can learn more about the applicant before semifinals. Then, if selected as semifinalists, candidates will participate in online interviews via video conference and will be given at least a week's notice before their day of interviews. We'll work with students who need support in getting internet connectivity. And if we are unsuccessful, they will be interviewed by phone. Then, during December, 90 semifinalists who have distinguished themselves will be invited to participate in national selections, which will take place in Toronto, Mississauga specifically, in February 2026. Costs to attend are covered by Loran. Our rigorous selections process recognizes that our candidates come from a diversity of backgrounds, each with different opportunities and challenges. We recruit selection volunteers from a variety of sectors, experiences, and careers who are demonstrating in their own lives the very values we look for in our scholars. By the time Loran Scholar is selected, they have been interviewed or assessed by up to 13 different people from all different backgrounds. How to apply? Step 1. We're currently doing this. Step 2. I can't emphasize enough. Be sure to give yourself and your referees plenty of time to complete each part. Visit apply.loranscholar.ca to begin your application. You'll have an opportunity to work on your application in sections, saving as you go. The application is made up of a variety of short answer questions, 4 essays, no longer than 350-word responses. And as well, we want to share the questions we ask are just so we can get to know you, get the right context of you. And so you know, you will complete your interview process in the same language, either English or French, that you choose to write your application. And your reference should also be written in the same language. Step 3, your referee can be someone from school or from outside of school. It could be a teacher, a youth group leader, a coach, an employer, but your referee cannot be a friend or a family member. It is recommended that you give your referee a heads up to this request, as well as giving them plenty of time to complete their reference for you before the deadline. They will be asked to complete a few questions about you through an online form. So start thinking about who can best speak to your potential to do great things. Steps 4 and 5, you are responsible, again, for ensuring your reference is completed on time. You may check on the status of your reference in your application dashboard, which you'll see after your application has been submitted and on the same login portal. If you plan on applying for the award, please request your transcripts from your school or ministry as soon as possible. You'll need these for the application, and there can sometimes be a wait to receive them. So back to our guests. I think we're back to Mesno now, right? Let's go back to 2018. Tell us more about your application process. How did you go about it? Did you do all at once? Did you do in pieces? And I know, Emily, you responded to this earlier. Feel free to go into more detail. What type of person did you choose as your referee and why?
hmm So I definitely did it in chunks across a few days. I think the way the application form itself was set up was you had to finish an answers to then move on to the next page. So I just put in whatever to so I could see all the questions that existed, copy pasted all of those into a Word doc just so I could have everything in one place and kind of look at it all at once. And then just kind of just work through it as as the days went by, sleep on it. You'll think of new things to say, you'll fix things, get people to read it for you, review it, just making sure you're saying everything that you want to say. And the type of person I chose as a referee, I believe I chose my English teacher, who was also he supervised one of the programs that I was running at my high school. I ran it in his classroom, so he was there, observed the whole thing, and felt like he could speak to it, as well. Yeah, it has been a while. I'm trying to remember. I think, yeah, I think I just chose, and then the other reference was someone who um, was a director within a program that I worked in, did a lot of my volunteer and sort of extracurricular experience with the Boys and Girls Club, could sort of just speak to a lot of the things. And I think she knew. I think yeah, because I'd been a part of that program since I was like 6, so I was like, I definitely have to have somebody from Boys and Girls Club there because they've seen my almost my entire life. So yeah, just people that I felt like could really speak to me as a person and not just what I was doing specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, so my reference, it was actually someone that I ended up giving a Teachers Building Leaders Award, which is an award that Loran lets you give in your 4th year to someone from your someone that helped you get through high school, elementary school, all of those great things. And so she was a guidance counselor at my school, and she actually never taught me and was never actually my formal guidance counselor, but it was somebody that was just a support member through my time. She saw me all 5 years of high school and was a big cheerleader, helped me again with major decisions. She saw my academics, but also saw me from a personal side, professional side. So she was a really, really great fit. For me, yeah, I took the time, broke it down, definitely skipped through all the questions beforehand to like read them to make sure that I got different stories into each question to try to fill out with as much experience as I could. The best advice I think I can give you though, and I know it sounds silly, but to be yourself and to really not overthink things too much. I remember I think there was a question that said like name 5 fun facts about you, and I'm like I'm not that fun. Like, and you're trying to keep up with like community things that you haven't already said in your application. And I was like five's a lot. And so I think I said that I had a dog or something, and I was at interviews and one of the Loren staff was like, "So tell me about your dog." And I was like, "How do you know about my dog? She's like, oh, it's in your fun facts. And I was like, I really didn't know what to put in there. She's like, no, that's exactly what we want to hear. We just want to see a little bit more of you behind it. So don't overthink things too much and have a little bit of fun with it as well.
Thank you. That's always, those 5 fun facts are always fun to review. And yeah, like you both, sounds like you both selected really solid referees. Again, it's the people who can best speak to your abilities, to your potential. Doesn't always have to be the person with the fanciest job title. And now, oh, we are coming to the end of the presentation portion. This is a photo of the 2023 cohort at their first retreat in 2023. This could be you next August. So remember, deadline Thursday, October 16th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. for BC, 1:30 p.m. for Newfoundland and parts of Labrador. Now I'm going to open it up to Michelle. Michelle, are you there?
Thanks, Loretta. Sorry, there are so many questions in the Q&A. If you had a specific question that's about your individual application, please do email us at, I'll put it in the chat soon, but info@loranscholar.ca if it's really personalized to you. Otherwise, I have been putting aside some of the more frequently asked questions for us to answer. And we got a lot of questions for our alumni guests specifically. So I will start with those, Mesna and Emily. If you're open to it, you can just jump in if one piques your interest. But the first question was, I'd like to ask the two alumni what qualities they think help them stand out in the application and interviews.
I actually have a little bit of a funny story about my interview, so I hope this maybe helps you a little bit. I remember I was very interested in being a teacher at the time and really wanted to work on making the education system a little bit more inclusive and diverse, but I never really told anybody that before. And so I don't know what this interviewer had asked, but I think you had about 15 minutes with this interviewer, and it was very quickly on that she had asked a question. And all of a sudden, I'm like confessing my soul of like my biggest dreams. And I walk out of there and I was like, what have I done? Like, I think she was an educator herself. And I was like, did I offend her? But I think that you could hear the passion in my voice. And now, whether I was right or I was wrong in what I was saying, she knew I was very passionate on what I was speaking about. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think yeah, they really sort of keen in on yeah, that passion, that excitement in your voice. Do you actually really care about what you're doing, or are you just kind of just doing it because you feel like you have to? It's just a box you got to check. And I think that I would also think that that's something that helped me. I was just really excited, really cared about a lot of the things that I was doing, and um yeah, I think also it was just I think a lot of the things I was involved in, I had sort of like a lot of what I talked about in my applications with the stuff that I've done with the Boys and Girls Club, which I think is a foundational organization for me, is something I've been a part of since I was a child. And something even to this day I still think I'm like, for whatever I do in life, I just kind of want to continue to give back to them. And I think that came across is that, this is something I literally, I grew up in front of, I grew up in front of them, and everything I wanted to do was just to sort of give back and give the next generation of kids those same opportunities and experiences that I had myself and hold so near and dear to myself. And so I think, yeah, just kind of just being like, that gratitude, that excitement, I think is what helped. Mm.
Thank you both. The next question from the chat is, what kinds of opportunities surprised you the most when you entered the program?
All of it. Um, I think Loren's a little bit of like just a Christmas gift that just keeps unraveling. There's always new things that you don't know, and they lay a lot of this out in the presentations, but every year that there's just like more supports added, different ways that you find the program can help work for you. It's yeah, it's kind of never ending. And it's something like this. Like I was very, very honored for them to ask for me to come and chat with all of you. So yeah, I don't know, Mesna, do you have a better example?
I mean, it is just that like you're kind of just saying everything. Like I think it is just and I think it's also just you can kind of make it what you want. I mean, there's so many. Also, just to go back, I don't know why I said 115. That was way off. That is maybe last 4 years. I don't know why I was just saying things, but 750. That's like that is not a joke. Like that is a lot. Like there's and you have access to anything. Like you just have to shoot an email and just be like, hey, you know somebody who's like this, da da da, and
Hmm.
that can then turn into so many other things. And so it really is just possibilities are endless. But one thing I will say that I was like, wow, that's really cool that they did. That I was surprised that and sort of didn't exist was the Discovery Grant program. They didn't have to do that. But it didn't actually made for a really cool sort of international experience. Because if not for that, then would have just graduated without it. So shout out to them, and that was really cool, real cool, fun summer. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, switching it to summers. It's going to be a two-part question. I'm merging a couple together. But how much freedom do scholars have in choosing their summer experiences? And more than just developing your career, how did you find that the summer experiences developed you as a person?
No, I'd say outside of just developing you professionally, I think just also just you become more organized once you just go into the flow of things of working. You build better habits of like, kind of just structuring everything that you need to do, especially within like a professional work setting, and also learning to deal with different personalities and sort of how you want to carry yourself and present your ideas. And I think, um, yeah, like there's a lot of things you're going to learn about yourself within those sort of working experiences that I think you you necessarily wouldn't have in sort of in a more standard academic setting when you're just like in your group projects and things like that. So a lot of things you'll kind of learn about yourself and how you deal with certain social situations and things of that nature.
Yeah, I you really do find yourself and you find what you like and you find different learning experiences. I love my degree and I learned so much in it, but I actually learned so much in my summers. You find you find different things. I love that they force you to do, not force, that's a strong word. They encourage you to try all three because if you didn't, I would not be in the career that I'm in, and I think that's super beneficial, um, in itself. So, what was the other part of the question? I feel like we only answered half of it.
It was how much freedom did you have in choosing your
Mm.
summer experiences?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I had a good point on that. I think communicate with Loren is a really big part of it. They are very happy to try and work with you in your dreams and make them happen the best they can as well. So I think early communication is key.
Thanks. And then, okay, I'll give one more question to our co-hosts, and then I'll go over a few more of the selections details. There's a lot of questions about that too. But a lot of folks were wondering I know we talked about what you think made you kind of stand out at the beginning, but people are wanting to know what the interviews were like for you from your perspective, and also how in depth you went on your applications. Did you feel that you wrote more about what you did, or did you elaborate more on how you did it and why it was important to you? So kind of just you're going through the process from your perspective, like how did you feel about it?
I'd say I think for me personally, I definitely lean more into adding depth, adding a lot more color to things that I was saying, and sort of just trying to sort of tying a thread of the things that I valued sort of personally in terms of my values, things that I cared about, a lot of things that were in how I grew up, and so how did that transform into a lot of things that I ended up doing. Really just trying to paint that picture, I think was what I tried to go for in my application. So what was the other part of your question? There's
How were the interviews for you?
oh
How did you feel that they went?
yeah, the interviews. So interviews. they're cool. I think there's definitely some things we would always kind of just talk about where you're like, what like there is a conspiracy I think in the one we had in the semifinals where none of the clocks worked. So we were like, what's going on there? But I think overall I would say it was really chill. It was fun. I think the people there are really nice. I think just try to just be comfortable and know that you've done everything you can to prepare, and you're just, it's the easiest thing because you're just talking about yourself. You're not, it's not an exam. It's not like you're trying to get. You're
Mhm.
just saying all the things that you've done, and that I mean, you know yourselves. So you're just doing that, and I mean, of course, just I guess practice with another person just to get the experience of actually saying those things and putting your thoughts together. So it's not the first time that you're doing it in front of an actual, an interviewer. But other than that, you just kind of do your thing, and yeah, they pick really cool people that I think will make you feel
Mhm.
comfortable and not, awkward and feel like it's just like a, job interview. They're very conversational, and some really cool people as well. I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite interviewers was he was a plastic surgeon, and we kind of just talked a little bit about that and his experiences with that. But really cool people, and I think yeah, like kind of Emily had said before, just be yourself. You're just gonna be talking about you, and you know yourself, and yeah, don't overthink. Yeah.
Yeah. For the application, 300 words maybe seems like a lot. It's really not. And I think I saw a question pop up about like if you talk about like what's on your application in the interviews, and I think that they'll ask specifically about it. They'll see, I see that you are part of the student council and you talked about this fundraiser. Tell me more about it. And they'll ask you other questions that are in there as well. The interview process, I think the first one is always the hardest because you just don't know the feel of it. But after the first one, it is actually a lot of fun, and you get to be yourself. And by the fourth one or third one or however many that you have to do in that time frame, you really do loosen up into it a little bit more. And it's always nerve-wracking going in, but you should be very proud that you had made it to that phase as well. There's definitely some nerves, and it's hard to talk about yourself. I hate a job interview and I hate making a resume because you have to kind of promote yourself a little bit, but you all have such great accomplishments, and as awkward as it maybe can be, just also be proud that you're able to do this as well.
Thank you both so much. I'm going to address some of the more based questions. So for one, there is no fee to apply. I saw that question a lot. I think I mistyped when I answered once, but there's no fee. Um, do you have to be accepted to university already to apply? That came in a lot. You absolutely do not. We know that applications for universities are open throughout the whole fall, and acceptances are only going to be in the spring. So you do not need to be accepted to a university. There was also questions about if you're required to apply for all of the universities you list on your application, and you do not necessarily have to apply to all of them. I know that there's always cost concerns with that. We just want you to write what you think right now you're interested in and the universities that are interesting you, but you do not have to necessarily apply to those. And if you change your mind or route after the application deadline, that's completely okay. If you move on to future rounds, you can always discuss your change of plans with the interviewers, but you're not held to what is on your application. Um, Multiple people can apply from the same school, and Loran does not only choose one, so don't worry about that. In terms of transcripts, there's a lot of questions about that. It has to be a ministry issued or school issued transcript, and it has to be uploaded as a PDF. And for most provinces, that includes your grade 9 to 11 grades. Your grade 12 grades do not have to be on there. We understand you haven't completed grade 12 yet. And in some provinces, they only have 2 years. So if that's the case for your province, then we do accept that transcript. Your referee, sorry, I'm trying to run through because I know we're close to the end here. Um, they will be sent a reference form to complete, so they do not have to write you a reference letter. And that will be something that is automatically sent to them when you put their email address into the application portal. And their deadline is the same as yours. You can work on your application simultaneously as they complete your reference form. And I have two more things left. Loretta did go over the different awards. So we will send a recording out on this, so I won't reiterate those, but you can watch the recording to refresh your memory on that. And then there was a lot of questions on traits that make candidates successful, what to write about, fun facts about you. And I will just reiterate what our lovely co-host said is their whole process is for us to learn about you in a holistic way. So my advice with that would be to answer it as authentically to you, fun facts, any hobbies that you have, just anything that you want to tell us outside of your activity record about you. And the interviews are the same fashion. The interviewer is just trying to get to know you as a person, so you don't have to have any rehearsed answers. We're not looking for anything specific. We really just want to get to know you as an individual. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the webinar. Again, if you have any other questions, you can always come back to our next session on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or send an email to info@loranscholar.ca. Thank you so much for joining us, Michelle and Danielle and Emily and Mesna, and all the best with your applications.